Good morning. Glad you could join us. This is Off the Press on Plus TV Africa. My name is Felicity Ezewuike. As usual, what we do, we take a look at the headlines and try to make sense of it. Not alone. I always have someone with me to help with that. Today we have a public affairs analyst, Gbolahan Salami. Thank you very much for coming in.
Good morning. Thank you.
All right, let's get right to it. We have the Vanguard newspaper. We have a few papers. Let's just start with the Vanguard for time's sake. Unlawful orders. Withdraw your statement, Army Chief tells Atiku. That's on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. It has quite a number of riders. And then you have the statements clearly showing on your screen from the three key players in this particular instance, Buhari, Atiku, and Buratai. Let me read some of the riders to that story. Says PDP candidates trying to incite army against constituted authority, obey orders, be loyal 100% or resign. Buratai tells officers, soldiers, don't politicize military, PDP wants. Adds Buhari lacks powers to deploy soldiers for election. Those are some of the, that's it on your screen. So many riders on that story. Let's go to the bottom where you have polls. Don't use military to intimidate Nigerians. We have something on hijab. MSSN drags Ogun government to court. You find details of what that is on page 37. NCAA threatens to sanction debtor telecom operators. That's something. Tinubu is also on the front page. You see it there on the Vanguard newspaper. Let's go to the topmast of the paper where you have stock market bolster political uncertainty. Also on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. We also have how I paid, there you have it, how I paid $30,000 into Ononge's domiciliary account. That's Aggie San speaking. Headsman kills 16 in Agatu, Benue. I hope that's not a resurgence. So you find details of that story on page 6. We do a quick flip to the back page now. We have sports. Hopefully we'll have Udoka join us a little later for this and other sports stories. But you might want to go take a look at some of the headlines there yourself. Let me bring Gbolahan in. We're just talking about this before the cameras came on. Could you speak up?
I think tensions are rising in the country right now. And I think words are flying everywhere. Everybody's concerned. And you can see the president saying there's this issue with ballot box snatching. We know this happens in Nigeria. But is the military the solution? I think that's what we need to talk about now. Because what the aspiring president, Atiku Abubakar, is saying is, he's looking at it from a point of view and saying, look, this is intimidation. You see, if the military comes, people are going to feel scared, they're going to feel worried. A lot of people are going to also going to consider sitting back at home and not coming out. Because if you militarize the elections, you put fear in the hearts of the people. Also, there's also the issue of the order that's given by the president to say, look, if you snatch ballot boxes, the military should deal with you ruthlessly. What does that mean? What does dealing with the dealing with the public ruthlessly, what does it actually mean? Because is the military going to take that order and go outside what is constitutionally acceptable and deal with people in ways that will cause harm to the public? I think that's a real issue here. But the military is saying, look, we have the order, we have marching orders, we're going to go. Also, we have the police. Okay, the police have the primary duty of securing the nation in times of elections like this. I mean, we don't have a state of emergency, so why do we have the military, playing such a paramount role in securing the elections? I think it's something that we need to discuss and look about.
This statement by the army asking Atiku to withdraw his own statement, asking them not to obey the orders of the president. What constitutes authority in this instance? Because if the president is giving directives to the army and then someone else is saying don't follow it, the statement by the military, what do you make of it? I just needed some clarity.
Okay, I think for that, I said two wrongs don't make a right. Okay, Atiku sees this as a constitutional nightmare, saying why is the military getting involved? But the president has given an order, and he has the right to give such orders. So him saying to the military to disobey the order of the president is actually also wrong. So this is a case where, okay, have two statements, one from the president, one from the candidate that wants to be president, Atiku. And, Bonata is saying here that, look, you can't give us orders and you can't tell the military to disobey the orders from the president. It is constitutionally wrong also. So what is morally right and what is constitutionally correct in this case, are two different things. Because the president has given the order stands. The military has to follow it. And Bonata has gone ahead to say, look, he's giving the military officers a deadline to resign if they're not going to follow orders. So we have that also. You
really said it was a publicity nightmare.
It's a PR issue.
All right, let's go to This Day newspaper now. The screamer, still on that order. We can't disobey Buhari's order, Buratai tells Atiku. There you have it on your screen. It has a rider citing Court of Appeal judgment banning military from election duties. PDP cautions COAS not to drag army into politics. Still on the front page, we have, we're good to go, says INEC. Completes reconfiguration of SCRs. There's a picture of Ambassador of Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to Nigeria and the president on their all smiley face. There's it on your screen. Again, headsman kills 17 in Benue. The Vanguard puts it at 16. This day says it's 17. At the very top mast of the paper, you have PDP presidency, APC, twisting INEC security agents. You find details of that on page 6. We flip to the back page now. Let's see what they have there today. All right, a lot of concerns is on the nation, the seeming tension in the nation, and I think that's something captured today. A nation on tenterhooks. That's Olusegun Adeniyi speaking of Yahaya Bello and other emperors. We all know what's going on in Kogi State. You might want to go read up this person's thought on that development there. Let's go to the front page now, and I'll just point straight to it. This headsman situation in Benue State. Vanguard says 16. This day says 17. Should we begin to worry again? Okay,
I think what's happening now is that there's a shift in focus in the country security-wise towards the election. And I think we're not paying attention to certain things that are happening all over the country. And I think the headsman issue is not really, it's an ongoing situation, and it's being closely monitored already. Because, what we have here is a case whereby we need to, look at this from a community standpoint, because it's a national issue, but this is happening within communities. And in that case, what are we doing, to stop this completely? Because we can't continue to have these killings, year in, year out, month in, month out, and not be able to deal with the root of the issue. I think we need to go to the root and deal with it permanently.
Okay, is there any other headline here you would like to touch on briefly before we move on to the next paper?
I think it's just to repeat what we talked about already. INEC says they're good to go, but I think there's more to that story. I'm sure we'll go back into it.
We hope that they are good to go. Because the INEC chairman, a lot of persons says there is something about his comportment in the whole scenario, and he must be commended for that, especially being under such an immense pressure to perform. We certainly hope that they are ready. All right, the Punch newspaper is next for review right now. We have only an act of God can stop Saturday's elections, says INEC. Has two riders. Stop inciting us to disobey orders, Buratai tells presidential candidates. Don't drag military into politics. PDP advises Chief of Army Staff, still on the order we've talked about in the previous papers. We go to the top mast of the paper where we have power sector loses 69.1 billion naira in 7 weeks. If you are into business, you should go read it up on page 35. Imo, Lagos, Kano, missing result sheets found in Gombe, Kwara, Oyo rather. Suspended CJN's appeals suffer further delay. That's more on page 7. We've also mentioned the attack in Benue State. Go to the very bottom of the front page of the Punch newspaper. Body bag threat. ICC may prosecute El-Rufai, says Falana. Lagos motorists, commuters lament road closure after train derailment. We move to the back page now, where we have Buhari is promoting barbarism. A little bit of sports is on the back page of the Punch newspaper at the right-hand corner, just beside the masthead. Edo Deputy Governor rescues ref from angry fans. And then people sleeping, answering the call of nature, and then having a nap under the bridge in Ikeja, Lagos. There you have it. That's on the back page of the Punch newspaper. Right.
Okay.
Gbolahan,
I think we need to go into this INEC discussion. I know there's been a lot of blame, towards INEC for the postponement of the election, but I think I would say they're actually very brave to do that postponement, because if you feel like logistically there's a nightmare and you have a problem, and then the election actually went on, on Saturday, we'll have more of a problem right now. So I'm happy they actually did postpone the election, but I'm seeing a lot of moves from INEC this week that they should have taken last week. They seem to be a lot more prepared. They are passing out a lot more information daily. There's training. Now we know what's going on. Today, for example, now we know that they've assessed all the polling units. They've distributed all the right election materials to everybody. And so it's good to hear that that's what's happening. But why didn't we have that last week? And as of Thursday last week, if our readiness was at 70% or 60%, there should have been communication to the public saying, oh, we're not ready.
Some would say it's necessary now, considering the postponement. The daily briefing to the press is of immense value if people are to re-establish faith in and what INEC is doing. There is another today, by the way, at 3 p.m. for those that might want to watch it. Okay, we'll move on to another paper now, and that's the Nation newspaper. On the front page, same thing, ballot box snatchers will be dealt with. This time it's coming from the Army chief. That's it on your front page on your screen. We also have Obey Constituted Authority. We've talked about that in almost all the papers we've had this morning. Let's look at what's at the very top of the paper on the Nation, just above the masthead. Kwara APC PDP in row over killings. Court fails to hear CJ and Onoge's appeal. Oyo Sachs allow Akala's son. Tomorrow is work-free day. Nigeria may cut crude oil output. My daughters are my supporters. That's on page 47. Who is talking about his daughters or her daughters this morning? Find details on page 47 when you visit the newsstands. Okay, still on Nigeria voting, just beneath the masthead. Nigeria votes, all the facts and figures about election 2019. For those who are yet to make up their minds, go find details there. And a complete configuration of card readers. I'll sell NNPC if elected president. Atiku insists government orders payment of February salaries. A lot of civil servants will be smiling right now hearing that. Good news. Okay, we also have on the front page of the paper, PDP will be defeated on Saturday, says Tinubu, a strong man in the APC party. We go to the back page of the Nation newspaper now, where we have INEC's force majeure and matters arising. Bengal Motoshaw on the editorial notebook on the back page of the Nation newspaper. We also have that KMO and Dino encounter. I don't know if you watched it.
I actually missed that, actually.
At some point, I was just, I didn't know what to think, really. All right, let's go to you. Front page.
There's a lot in here, actually. I think the government is trying to remedy what happened last week with the election postponement. So we have a work-free day tomorrow. Also, salaries gets paid early, which is good news for workers. But I think the election is costing us a lot of money, because the economic impact of shutting down the country for another day for elections is, I know, I can't put a number to it, but I know that there's an impact. So I think the election is costing us so much. I think we need to get it over with and move on to other things, move on to, governance again, and, moving forward to prosperity. I think it's important that we move ahead. Also, I'm going to sell NNPC, was Atiku is talking about. And I looked into that a bit, and I thought, okay, privatization has not really worked for us very well in Nigeria, because the infrastructure around privatization has to really function. Regulation has to be intact. We have to have everything in place to privatize. And this NNPC is basically it's a national asset, and that's what brings the bulk of revenue for Nigeria. So if we're going to sell an NPC, there has to be a good structure around it. Who are we selling it to? How are we going to monitor what's going on? And I think the government, the failure to manage NNPC properly, because some of the issues that article raised is that we're not able to get refineries working for many years. That's an administration issue. So if we can't deal with that, how are we going to manage whoever handles the company going forward? Who buys the company? Is it going to be publicly sold to the public? Is it going to be sold to a certain company to handle? Is it going to be sold to international companies to manage? We don't have that information, but he's saying to us now that NNPC needs to be sold. Now,
do you support that idea? Do you see the merits, aside from the challenges that you have highlighted?
Yes, there could be merits to privatizing NNPC, but NNPC is a beast. It's a very huge, it's a very, very huge organization. So if you're going to sell NNPC, there's so many moving parts. And to testify to that, the Senate or National Assembly have struggled to pass the PIB. And it's because there's so many moving parts there that if you make a decision around NNPC, it affects a lot of sectors in the economy. So we have to be very careful, moving forward.
That's a strong word. Anyway, that's what we're going to pause right now. We're coming back to the papers, sports this time. Hopefully, Udoka will be joining us. Thank you very much, Gbolahan, for coming in. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll be right back. Good to know you're still with us. Udoka Njoko is here to talk sports. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good morning.
All right, good morning. Complete Sports is up for conversation right now. Let's see what's here. Moses, Eagles' most overpaid player in England. Defender Star is highest paid Nigerian for lowest contribution in the EPL. We also have Mikel named in Championship Team of the Week. Did you see that video of them singing African Zidane? Yeah, I saw it. It was hilarious. All right, Europa League special. It's win or bust for Iwobi Arsenal. There are some other headlines on the front page, nothing on the back, advertorial. Over to you.
Well, the big one has to be the Champions League. Atletico Madrid and Man City triumphing over the night. Again, for Atletico Madrid, they got a victory 2-0 against Italian champions Juventus. And in as much as the video assistant referee tried to trump the victory for Atletico, but they still went ahead to get that one. Looking forward to the second leg where Ronaldo didn't really perform yesterday. And for Manchester City, it looked like they came back from the dead against their opponent, Schalke 04. From 2-1 down, they ended up winning that game by 3-2. A super assist from the goalkeeper for Manchester City, Ederson. In the 90th minute of that encounter, Sterling got the vital win for Manchester City. And for Victor Moses, well, he has been considered as a flop while he was at Chelsea. Remember, he's on loan at the Turkish club Fenerbahce. And there was a list that came out looking at the ratings of players who didn't perform well in the EPL but were paid huge amounts of money. He used to earn over £60,000 per week, and his contribution to the EPL and Chelsea wasn't so much of a good thing to write home about. So that's why he has been rated as an overpaid player in England. And for the one you talked about, the Europa League, win or bust for Arsenal. Remember, they lost their game in the first leg encounter in the Europa League. They need to win today at the Emirates Stadium. If not, they'll be crashing out of the Europa League. And Mikel, yes, Nigerian and African Zidane, he has done well for Middlesbrough since signing for the championship side. So it's a good one. And him being named in the team of the week, I think he thoroughly deserves that one. So looking at the front page of the paper, it's all football, because we're heading to the football weekend. And yesterday was the Champions League, and today we'll be looking at the Europa League. And let's not forget about MFM, talking about the Nigerian Professional Football League as well. Are extending their points to 4 points, their lead to 4 points. They got a vital win at the Agege Stadium yesterday in the MPFL, 2-0 against Sunshine Stars, and it's looking good for MFM, Mountain of Fire Ministries, this season in the MPFL.
Okay, let's look at Vanguard Sports. We're going to take a look at some of the headlines and then wrap things up with a Mr. and Mrs. Cartoon on the flip side of the paper. Victor Moses, Okaka, among top 10 overpaid players players. I think that's a slight recap of what's on the other paper. Madrid to use Bale, is that?
Yeah, Bale
in Hazard deal. Then we also have no regret quitting United. That's Fellaini.
For Marouane Fellaini, he has left United. And for Madrid, they want to use Bale to get in Eden Hazard in a transfer deal for the Chelsea star man. For Madrid, it's not going so well for them. And when the summer transfer window opens, they are willing to let go of Gareth Bale and in hoping that Eden Hazard will get to join them in the summer. That's majorly what
What is this attributed to Osaze? African players prefer juju men to doctors.
No, it's just word of mouth. You know, Osaze, yeah, most of the African footballers, they think that they use diabolical means in playing their football. But come on, Osaze, I just think he's been funny with that statement, saying African men prefer juju men than doctors.
Well, if you want to find out whether he's joking or not, go read details of the story on the back page inside, I'm sure, of the Vanguard Sports. All right. Thank you, Doka, for coming in.
Thank you very much.
We'll just take a look at this Mr. and Mrs. cartoon. All right. It's all nonsense. A man will get married to the woman of his choice, still run after women with big backsides and boobs. What exactly are men enjoying in all of these? Dear, you have no idea. Udoka, do I have idea?
You have no idea.
And that's how we're going to wrap it this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. We're back again tomorrow with all the latest headlines. Off the press is what it is. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Felicity Ezewuike.